Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 569 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our sixth book just came out. It's called I'm So Beautiful, It's Ridiculous, Unleashing and Promoting Strength, Self-Worth, and Real Sisterhood. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, my daughter has an incredible memory. She has memorized pi into hundreds of digits and even won a school competition for this unique skill that she has. Now, I can't do this at all, but I am fascinated with improving memory. So we are going to talk about that with our next guest. Tharaka, also known as Dr. T, he is a psychiatrist, TV doctor, and a corporate event speaker. He is a three-time TEDx speaker. He's a psychiatrist on Channel 4, celebrity shows. He's a podcaster and a whole bunch of other stuff. He's specialized in high performance, psychological cohesion, cognitive biases, and memory training. And Dr. T has turned complex brain and mind science into actionable strategies for organizations in order to drive more clarity and change. Welcome to the show, Dr. T.
Hey, Michael, good to be here. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Course. Yeah.
By the way, you have got great energy. You're already brightening up my day, so this is good.
Well, listen, this is my first thing in the day here in the States. It's 9 a.m. in Nashville, Tennessee. So I always like to start off my day with a great guest like yours, like you. And I know that you have so much great information to share with our college students today. So I am pumped. I'm excited. I am ready to go.
Well, that's fantastic. And it's 3 p.m. over here in Aberdeen in Scotland, which is where I'm based. And so the sun is shining over here. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So you decided to go to school at the University of Aberdeen in Aberdeen, Scotland. You had a focus on medicine and surgery. I'm wondering, why did you decide that the University of Aberdeen was the right place for you to study?
Yeah, do you know what? It just boiled down to practicality. I had grown up in Aberdeen ever since the age of 5 years old. My parents were here, my younger sister was here. So for a number of practical reasons, it's just a few miles down the road, cheaper overheads, things like that, and probably a bit of parental influence as well. I ended up going to Aberdeen. I actually applied to multiple universities in Scotland to do medicine. The degree is Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery. So here in the UK, MBCHB is the lettered title. And so I applied and got into a few universities in Scotland, but Aberdeen was close to home.
I understand. Listen, the parents can have a lot of influence on you. You could have gone anywhere, but you said, all right, I'm going to save a little money. I'll be close to home and I'll make my parents happy, right?
Well, yeah, it's interesting you say parents have influence. Maybe I'd go far as saying parents have control. At least that was probably my story when I was 17 years old. But there you have it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's true, isn't it? We see so many having to factor in these sorts of vectors into their decisions, right?
Yeah, I always think that's fascinating how people make decisions. Sometimes people will tell me, "Oh, I was chasing a girl and and so I went to this particular college." And then I ask, "So did it work out?" It never works out.
It's an honest confession, and you're absolutely right. It can be love of a person, love of a place. It can be nostalgia. It can be sometimes, actually, I feel safe and secure here. I have a little bit of fear about venturing away, and that's not for me right now. And so by just getting off the dance floor and onto the balcony of your own mind, just to be a little bit self-aware about what are all the different emotions that are pushing me one way or the other, that can help you make more of a rational decision.
Yeah. So since then, you've done lots of work in psychiatry, and I'm wondering, why are you so focused on the field of psychiatry?
Yeah, so in medical school, I think it was year 4 out of 5 in the undergraduate degree, I had my placement on psychiatry, and I just got it, Michael. I kind of had a knack for people and understanding their emotions. I was often one of the slowest people on the ward round when we moved from bedside to bedside to bedside. I'd be tailing behind the rest of the team, just checking in on the patient. How are you doing? Did you have someone visit you? And I think there was always something about me that wanted to connect with people on that psychosocial level, in addition to doing the very medical bit. And psychiatry was just a really great crossover for me. I remember being in a clinic shadowing a professor in psychiatry, quite well renowned professor. And in between patients, that's when the the supervisor will turn to the medical student and ask them a question or get their opinion. And he turned to me and said, "Hey, do you know what, Tharaka? You're quite good at this." And so that really inspired me as well. It's amazing, Michael, isn't it, about how senior templates, authority figures, people that are in great positions in life can have that encouraging effect. And that's probably part of what happened for me.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I actually have a degree undergraduate in accounting of all things, which you would never
Mm,
think. And the reason why is because I had a professor in high school who was an accounting guy. That was the class that he was teaching, and he was an accountant by trade. And yeah, I just idolized him. I just thought he was cool. I thought he was funny. And I was like, I want
yes.
to be like you, right? And so, like in
Yes.
our mind, all of this makes sense. Would I have gone into
Yes.
accounting without him? Probably not.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And especially in that late teenage into early adulthood phase of brain development, we're constantly looking for templates in life. What's a good example of a dad or a husband or a man or a woman or a maternal figure or a fun sister or brother? Like, we're constantly looking for who's a trustworthy person in my life, who's a high performer. And our brain looks for these templates and starts to internalize them a little bit. And so, being like your role model, that's why we call them role models, right? It's
Yeah.
because they model the role that we adopt. And our brain is very good at doing that. But at the same time, it's also good at going, oh, you know what? I'm trying out this role, and this isn't a perfect alignment with my set of core values or what comes easy to me. I'm really curious about you being in accounting and you being such a people person and energetic and creative. And I'm wondering about when the switch came for you, actually.
Well, the
It's,
switch came into my first job. I was sitting
yeah,
in a room that had no windows and I was doing debits and credits all day long with no windows, not
yeah.
talking to anybody like you. I need to understand
Mm,
people's stories. And so I'm
mm-hmm.
sitting there and I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm making a lot of money. So my bank account is happy, but I'm
Yeah,
miserable doing
mm,
what I'm doing day in and day out. And so I had to
yeah,
just leave that behind and say, this is not for me long term and seek
yeah,
something else out. And it was
yeah,
really what I was doing in my volunteer time that
yeah.
actually brought me to what I do full time as a speaker. So at that time, I was volunteering for the fraternity that I joined in college. I was volunteering
Amazing.
for them and I was working with college students at 5 schools in the Northeast. And I said
Wow.
to myself, I want to do this all day, every day for the rest of my
Yes.
life. And so it
Isn't
was
that
actually the
interesting?
volunteer opportunity that turned into the full time opportunity.
Yes, yes. And it sounds like the decision for you to step into accounting didn't stop you from eventually finding what you were even better fit for. And I think young people need to know that sometimes. Certainly when I was growing up in school, and I'm 42 years old, 43 this year, um, I, I just remember being asked, what do you want to be when you're older? Which I think is a flawed question on a number of levels. Number one, when you ask a child or a young person, what do you want to be when you're older, it almost insinuates that you're not being anything right now. So it suggests that your identity starts when you get a role, which is probably an unhealthy way of looking at life. I often say you're not a human doing, you're a human being. And so who are you? What is it that you carry in you, the gifts, the talents, the gold inside that you can bring as a service and a gift to others? And that can be outworked now, it can be outworked in a paid position, or it can be outworked volunteering in a fraternity. But the point here is that sometimes we just need to discover who we are as much as we can and think about, well, where can I live that out? And interestingly, when we have an alignment of our core values with the values of the work that we do, this results in a decrease in stress and a reduction in the chances of workplace burnout.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
Yeah,
I love all of your speaking programs. I think they're all phenomenal. You have one that's called You Can Improve Your Memory. And
right.
I'm wondering how we can use the mechanics of memory science in order to, let's say, recall long digits such as pi. How do we do that?
Yeah, and by the way, I'm really impressed at your daughter's memory feat there. So you got to let her know. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I did something similar at one of my TEDx talks where I recited on stage, which, by the way, is a whole new level of stress. I did it blindfolded, and you have to just battle with your own mind. It's not just the reciting, it's the, ooh, do not fall off this tightrope in front of everyone on video. But hey, look, reciting pi, being able to do facts, figures, dates, working like a memory athlete, these are all I would describe as gym exercises. So, do you go to the gym, by the way, Michael? Are
Oh
you,
yeah, every day.
yeah, you're lifting weights, aren't you? And
Yes, I am.
yeah, okay, cool. So, presumably, the work that you do in the gym with dumbbells or barbells on the bench, whatever, is not what you do during your working day, but the exercises in the gym strengthen you for life. If you have to push a car or lift shopping bags or help someone up the stairs, whatever, right? So it's the
Yes.
exercises that prepare us for life. Memory training is very much like that. So in memory training, the premise here is everyone has a memory. Most people tell me they want theirs to be better. And the great place to start is, well, actually, how does your memory work? So I often talk about this. Hey, you have two systems at work, the short-term memory and the long-term memory. Did you know that? And I'll ask people, how long do you think the short-term memory lasts? And I get a variety of answers. What do you think people say, Michael, when I ask them that kind of question? What are the range of answers you think I get?
I mean, anywhere between 3 to 10 seconds.
Oh, you know what? That's one of the most accurate answers I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So you're bang on. I'll get something like, oh, well, it's a few hours, it's a day, it's a few days, it's maybe a
Yeah.
week. And you're right, it is just a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And when you get introduced to someone in a party or networking event, and you ask them their name, and then you tell them your name and what you do for a living, and then by that time you've forgotten their name often, right?
Yes.
And the issue there is not an issue of memory, but an issue of attention. And what happens is that name passed through our short-term memory, which is just like an inbox tray. It holds the information for just a second, then evaporates it out, making space for the next piece of data. And what happens is when you hear the name, we don't pay attention and go, oh, hold on to that name and shuffle it into our long-term memory somehow, like attach it. And so interestingly, when a crowd are shown a picture of someone called Mr. Baker, and are also shown a picture of someone and are told he works as a baker, on memory recall, most people remember that person via their profession, not by their name. So names are a little bit abstract. And so the point here is that we have a bad memory for things that we're not interested in or that lack meaning. So memory training is about how do I listen to data, read data, be immersed in it, convert it into something that has meaning for my mind, and shuffle it into my long-term memory. And the more you practice that in the gym, the better you get at that in real time in the real world. And do you know what? When you improve your memory, it improves your perceived level of competence, confidence, and how interested you are in others, and has a whole host of mental health benefits as well.
Wow, that is just fascinating. I really want to see that program in its entirety. That's got to be absolutely incredible. The other thing that you're using brain science and memory techniques for is to align organizations. And I think this is also really fascinating. Fraternities and sororities, they're typically aligned around values, things like
Yeah,
scholarship and community service and
yeah.
things like that, philanthropy, academics, etc. So, how do you use brain science and memory techniques in order to align an organization? How's that possible?
Yeah. So you're absolutely right to say that values create alignment. In fact, values are essentially neurocircuits in your brain. It's fairly accurate to say that you can find values in the form of neural pathways in your brain. So in a sense, values are a physical thing on a microscopic level. And if you imagine if you and I had very similar core values when we work on a particular task, we're starting to align our minds with a particular set of non-negotiable standards. What does that bring? Alignment. And so where there is increased alignment, there's increased output efficiency, there's also increased value rub and tug and frustration, right? So when an organization particularly is going through change, and then you've got hundreds or thousands of different brains thinking slightly different versions of the truth, not a single version of the truth, but multiple versions of the truth, that's where you can get ineffective outputs, fatigue, disengagement, things like that. A great thing to do is align them not only through values but through a vision. In other words, what is a picture, literally a physical picture of what the future looks like, so we can all head toward the same destination. So if you can give someone, like if you can see it, your brain can go after it.
Mm-hmm.
When Microsoft founded, they said, we see a time where there will be one of our machines on every desk in every home or every workplace, then thereabouts. They pretty much landed that. When you have a picture that you can all see, your brains can go after it together. But here's the problem, people forget. So what I do in a session of a memory of your future is helping the organization see, hey, folks, I heard from some of you that this is where you're heading. Is that right? It is right. Okay, well, do you know what? We're going to memorize this. We're going to memorize all these details, and I'm going to test you at the end of this, and you're probably going to get 100%. It's fun, it's interactive, it's motivating, people are high-fiving each other, and they leave the session with a physically printed image in their mind. And so it's a really great way to create alignment that lasts longer than the session itself.
I love it. Really good stuff. You also have another program. It's called Think Big. And I think this is absolutely incredible and very, very important because I talk to college students all the time and I ask them, what is your dream for this organization? And college students will typically respond with something that's like really kind of small to me, right? I mean, what if
Mm.
Microsoft, using your example, said, we want to have computers on, 10 desks? I mean, that's not aspirational. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to change the
Yeah.
world that way. And I think the college students, they're not thinking big enough. So, you have this mind action profit blueprint. What is
Mm.
that all about?
Yeah, well, the word profit in Latin really means progress. Often we think, Michael, don't we, when we hear the word profit, of
Money.
money?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is financial profit. Technically, that's financial, but we can profit in our physical health. You're profiting in the gym every single day.
Yeah.
We can profit in the culture we create. We can profit in our kindness. We can profit in our well-being. There's so many different ways we can profit. Mind action profit just means if you want to change outcome, you got to change your action. If you want to change action, you got to change your mind. And so we know from cognitive science the way you think, the way you feel influences the decisions you make and the magnitude of the actions you take. Did you know that optimism, I mean, you'll know this in your own personal life, but this is scientific fact, that optimism is not just associated with better outcomes in life, it's a driver of better outcomes in life. In other words, when I can think big for the future and go, tomorrow could look better, next year could look amazing, it could look like X, Y, and Z, it could look like one of our computers on every desk in every home or workplace, then what happens is consistently, if I'm not there yet, I'm going to keep taking action toward that goal. The other thing is that when I get hit with knockbacks or setbacks, or, oh my goodness, here comes a curveball, I never saw that coming, rather than be defaulting into disappointment, the optimist tends to go, oh, okay, well, that's fine because we can just pivot. Or, you know what? I never wanted that outcome anyway. I've got something bigger and better in mind. Turns out that optimists are slightly less realistic than realists and even pessimists. However, it does drive goal attainment. And one top tip is surround yourself with good people. And you probably know that yourself, gathering from your energy. Would you say that you experience that in your
Oh
own
yeah.
life? That
Well, first
surround
of all,
yourself
I
with good
am the
people?
eternal optimist. There's no question about that. And I like
Yes.
being around other people that are optimistic as well. But when I
Yes.
construct teams around me, we have over 20 speakers at Greek University. I tend to have a
Really?
very diverse mix, and there are people that are specifically there to pull me down to reality, right? Because sometimes I can be detached from reality, and I know that about myself. So I
Good.
have other people that will bring me in.
What a great point you make. The power of so surrounding yourself with good people, surrounding yourself also with the people that you know you need.
Yes.
So you and I are optimists, but we do need that coupled with analytical thinking
Yes.
and just checking, well, why won't this work? And doing the pre-mortem and helping increase the chances of that optimistic energy materializing into a result. So I'm totally with you on that. The other thing is it helps to take time out from the busy schedule, get off Instagram, switch your phone off, take the cat out of the room, shut the door, and then just get quiet, get still, and just start dreaming about, hey, what does my future look like? How could it look like if there was, no holds barred? Like what could I do? You know, um, where would I be living? What kind of impact would I be making? What would my haircut look like with my shoes on my feet and the smiles on the faces of the people around me? And who would they be? And so we're using our prefrontal cortex actually. It's an area of our brain that's able to think about, well, what if I did this, then what? And what about that, and then this? It doesn't work really well when we're stressed though. So that's why it's really good to stay still and chill.
I love it. Really good stuff. The other question I had for you too is apathy seems to be a problem on college
Mm,
campuses today. And you have this
mm,
program called Rocket Fuel Motivation. You're using the
mhm,
brain science of motivation to help keep
mhm,
that motivation sustained over long
mhm,
periods of time. What is your
mhm.
secret to doing that?
Well, there's macro motivation and micro motivation. The macro is what we've been talking about. What is the big picture? What is the why? What does tomorrow look like that you want to aspire to? The micro motivation is the day to day, the week to week, the month to month. I've got 3 boxes to check, and I'm checked one. I'm 1 box away from being more than halfway done. And I check the second box. Now I'm just 1 box away from getting it nailed. Okay. I do that once a day. I do that 7 days a week. That's 21 boxes checked. Like this all stacks up over time. And so having the ability to pursue goal and then feel reward, that's the dopaminergic circuits in the brain that close that loop, help you keep going. The third thing, so that's macro motivation, micro motivation. The third thing is you need accountability. And what I mean by that is not a telling off, but someone that lives outside of your own brain. Because let's face it, we're good at like making allowances for our own versions of reality sometimes. You know what? Do you know what? Like, I want to lose weight, but I think I'll start next month. I'm on. Is that actually what you agreed on Sunday night? It's Monday morning, and there's a chocolate cake in the kitchen now, and you're going, you know what? I'll start next month. And so when you have that external mind that's able to see things, I won't say objectively, but subjectively from their point of view, that's good data for you to use. And studies show that when we have an accountability check-in, this will increase our goal attainment probability.
Perfect. I love it. I want some practical advice here because you have this one talk, it's called Your Brain at Work, talks about psychological fitness, health for high performance, and boosting work output. I think we all want to boost our work output. So, what is something that we can do in order to achieve this level of health and output?
Cool. I'll give you 2 top tips. One's to do with well-being and one's to do with productivity. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect.
The well-being one is my very own mental health and physical fitness acronym. I made this up in the pandemic. It's called Dr. T's SWANS, as in the bird. SWANS. You need to write this acronym down on a bit of paper, stick it on your fridge or on your desktop computer. Look after your sleep. The W is look after your water intake. We perform better on cognitive tasks when we're hydrated. The A is look after your activity level, sit less, move more, oxygenate your brain and body. Look after your nutrition is the N. What you eat has an impact on how you feel, make decisions, and how you perform. And finally, the S in SWANS, SWANS, manage your stress. Keep your stress low. And you can do that as a self-regulator on your own. You're listening to a podcast, you're going for a walk, shut the doors, stay calm, recharge. Or you might be a co-regulator. I want to hang out with folk and have a chat and go to a party and do something with other people and be aware of what do I need in that moment. So there you have it. Look after your sleep, water, activity, nutrition, and stress. Got to look after your swans. That's the well-being piece. How does that sound so far?
That sounds great to me. We can do that.
Yeah, the productivity piece I'll throw out to you right now is that, and this is particularly pertinent for the world we live in right now. Um, our levels of distractibility are at an all-time high now compared to ever before. It's difficult to, do you know what? Some people perceive this as we have an inattention issue, as in like our brain's ability to pay attention's decreased. Turns out that that's not entirely the case. It's more about we're more willing to be distracted. So if I'm working on something and something pings, I'm actually not as disciplined to say no to that. Or someone's knocking on my door saying, have you got 5 minutes? And the truth is, I don't have 5 minutes, but come on in and let's have a chat.
Yeah.
And so if we can get back to one thing at a time, you're blocking time in the diary, and it's, you know what? It's a 25-minute sprint on this email. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to feel better after I get it done, and nothing's going to distract me in that time. you will decrease cognitive fatigue because your brain's not brilliant at multitasking when the jobs themselves are competing for the same brain areas. So you've seen this happen, Michael, haven't you? In your life and my life, someone's on a video call, but they're also writing an email, and they're also making some notes, and they're also taking a phone call in between. They're maybe checking LinkedIn. Wow, okay. Your frontal lobe is going, focus on LinkedIn, focus on the call, focus on the phone call, focus on the notes, and it's bouncing between these at high speed, giving you the illusion that you're multitasking. But to cut a long productivity piece of research short, what happens is when we do that, we take longer, we make more errors, and we get more cognitive fatigue. So I'm telling organizations, where possible, one thing at a time. That's a good productivity hack.
Yeah, I have to follow that 100% because I noticed that my work quality suffers. I do a bad job at both things if I'm trying to split my time between, checking social media and doing an interview or whatever. You have to
Yes.
focus on one thing at a time. That's when I get my best work done. And I feel better. I feel like I've actually given 100% to this thing and now I can move on. Each time I check a
Yes.
box on all the things that I need to get done, I have a planner and everything is very organized every single day. So I
Yes.
feel good that way, and I 100% agree with your advice. I have one last thing that I wanted to talk to you about because all of the college students who are listening right now, they are very stressed out. Okay. I'm just telling you, I can see it in their face. They're also not sleeping enough. That's a whole nother story. You have a program called Less Overwhelmed, and it teaches us to be less stressed. Can you give us an example on how to get there? Because our students are just stressed out to the max.
Yep. Since the pandemic, we've lost boundary control a little bit because we were taught then to eat, sleep, work, dance, play, watch TV all in the same space. And if someone messages you at 2 in the morning for, can I have that email? You might get up to do that. And we need to go back to a place of putting boundaries back in. And that means start to get conscious on when am I at work and when am I not? When am I going to be resting and when am I going to be focusing? When am I off my devices? You need to just build in one or two of these simple boundaries, let them become discipline, then habit, and then add a couple more in. And life gets easier and better that way. You will feel anxious when you force yourself not to check your phone at 1 in the morning. But, if you've got that problem, pull it back a bit. I'm going to just not check my phone after 12 midnight and then make it 11 o'clock at night. And then it's just little steps of change to bring boundaries back in. And a friend of mine told me that limit minus load equals margin. Limit minus your load equals your margin. And so maybe don't operate your diary at 110% because if the cat gets sick or if you have a flat tire, you have no way to accommodate these curveballs. So I try to operate my diary at 80, 85% because I know that there are unpredictables that I have to deal with as well. Boundaries and a bit of margin can help.
Excellent advice. You're right. All those boundaries went out the window when we had the pandemic. So I think it's time to
Mm.
start putting those things back in place for our own health, I think is really important. Now, we love
Mm-hmm.
good food here at the Fraternity Foodie
Oh,
Podcast.
yeah.
And yeah, oh yes, very much so. That's my weakness. Are there any really good restaurants in Aberdeen, Scotland that you could recommend? Because my wife, she wants me to travel to Ireland, to Scotland. That's where all of her family is from, and she wants to show me, but I don't know where to go to eat.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, in Aberdeen, where we live, a personal favorite of mine. It's actually not a local restaurant. It's a chain,
Mhm.
but it's called Chow Praya, and it's a Thai restaurant. And we've had some really nice memories there. My wife and I, we've had some nice meals there. I took my daughter, my middle daughter, there last year for a theater show dinner. That was just a nice memory. So I love I just like Thai food in
Yeah.
general. Do you know what I
Me
mean?
too. The two of us, I'm telling you, two peas in a pod. The two of us
Yeah,
will go for Thai. I'll eat
yeah,
Thai every night. I
yeah,
still won't get sick of it. I mean, it's that good.
yeah. It's that good. It's that good. And my wife and I went to Bali last year, December actually. It
Yeah.
was really a work trip. We worked together actually, and so um, uh, the Balinese food was really nice. The Indo sort of Indonesian Thai influence. It was great. Have you
That's
been to
fantastic.
Bali? Have you been to Bali?
Never. That's another place on
Oh,
my list. But now, see, my kids are now growing up and they're both in
yes,
college now. So now
yes.
we have the freedom to go and travel the world, which is great. So
Excellent,
now we're
excellent.
starting that. And so all of these places like dominoes in the next few years, they will start to fall over. I will be in Bali, I promise.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Yeah. Well, we had a lovely time there, and I'm just really looking forward to going back. It's funny, we're going full circle back to the first thing you said about, oh yeah, I went to uni to go chase this particular girl. I met my wife in medical school, so and that became a marriage story. So that's uh, it's a rare thing, but a lovely thing.
That's fantastic. All right. So if
Yeah.
our college student listeners, if they want to bring you in to speak on their college campus, where can they go to
Yes.
connect with you?
drtaraka.com. That is the website. drtaraka.com. There's a form, fill it in, and I'll get back in touch. Remember, my team will get back in touch. I'd love to deliver something for people in the educational space. It's a great opportunity to grow.
Dr. Tarika, you are one of a kind. Thank you so much for spending time with
Ah,
us today. I appreciate it.
thank you so much. I've loved it.
All right, very good. And to our college student listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Dr. Tarika, I want you to like it and I want you to share it with every college student on your college campus because I think he's that good. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.